Hey everybody, this is Javi, and you are watching the Bowtie Psychic on YouTube. So I am actually doing a general card reading for Taurus season for those born under the Sagittarius sign, whether they are, regardless of whether they were born under the Moon sign, Sun sign, Venus, or rising. So I immediately got a lot for Sagittarius. But before I get started with that, I just want to know that this is not going to resonate with everyone. But if it resonates with you, by all means, let me know in the comments. And by all means, you can subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined to. Also, if you want a new reading, you can hit me up on Google at bowtiepsychic@gmail.com. So what I got when I tapped into um, Sagittarius, at least that energy anyway, you feel like a lot of like the first thing I wanted to say like is no one is trying to shut you down. No one is trying to shut you down or tell you to be quiet in any way, shape, or form. I'm getting that you feel that people are trying to tamper your fire instead of leaving it alone. When I think Sagittarius, they love knowledge and they love um, sharing people or sharing knowledge with other people, and they do it loudly. You know what I mean? They do not like it when people don't listen to them, and so people are not trying to shut you down as a result. Um, if anything, they're like they're very overwhelmed by your energy, and they're like they don't understand what the problem is, and so that's what I'm getting from that. So the perception card again, this card has come up on three different occasions, but you got the perception card, the Sagittarius, and so what this card is saying is that this is a time for you to change your perception or to check your perception in regards to your ego, because this whole concept of you being shut down um, is it you. I'm just getting that it's coming out of it's coming from nowhere. To be honest with you, you feel that because people are not listening to you, or you believe that people aren't listening to you. You feel like this is a time for you to just to go off on people, or to feel like people are disrespecting you, and that's not the case at all. I'm getting a lot of anger, and I'm getting a lot of this energy of being annoyed. But beneath that, there's a lot of hurt um, because you feel like you're getting on people's nerves, and that's not the case at all. Um, it's just that people are just like they don't know what to say to you because you're like in an argumentative state, or you're debating, and no one wants to. And this is not the energy for this. This is not the season for this. And so you're being asked to ask yourself, what's going on? Like, why? What is it about not being listened to that is making you so upset? Because that's where a lot of the answers are. And so I'm holding this up. You know what I mean, for those are born of the Sagittarius sign, because the perception that you have towards other people in regards to them not quote unquote listening to you is very ego based, and it is really very much time to let that go and to put that in check, and to like definitely again like this whole thing of shadow work keeps coming up. Do the work necessary. Do the work necessary. This is the time to let stuff go. This is a time to look at what our subconscious mind has been doing to either keep us safe or to keep us stuck. Okay, this is a time, and you're no exception, Sagittarius. You're literally being told to. Um, this is what Taurus season is doing. It's kind of putting some dirt on some of that fire that you have, because if not, it's getting out of control. It's getting out of control as far as your perception of the world, and your perception of other people, and how they perceive you. Because this is a time for you to ask yourself what's going on there. And so you also got 420. You guys 420. If you're into numerology, look that up. In fact, I'll put that in the comments. If yeah, I'll put that in the comments. Not in the comments, but in the description. Sorry about that. So what you got here too is actually the eight of air. And so this is literally the card. It's like I'm getting dog. Even though this card is not, it doesn't pertain to dogmatism. Um, this is also like this is about choice. This card is about choice. Either you can choose to let things go, or you can still continue down your path and make things worse. That's basically what this card is saying. Like spirit is literally giving you a choice. Your spirit guides are literally giving you a choice. You can make things worse for yourself, Sagittarius, by fighting everyone in attendance so they will listen to you and listen to your way of things. Or you can pretty much start doing the work necessary to ask yourself why you are doing what you're doing and saying what you're saying and why you're reacting the way you are. Because at this point, no one is after you. No one is after you. No one is doing anything um, to hurt you. No one is doing that at all. It's just that with everything going on in 2019, there's a lot of tower energy that is going on. Not just Taurus energy and all these energies. Like there is some stuff going on to where entire institutions are being wiped out. People are dying. All these laws are like there's so much going on in this world, and you're very passionate about things. We all get it, okay? But because people are all already inundated and bombarded with message after message after message of world destruction, okay, all this tower energy happening to where we are all questioning what's going on and we're being knocked out of our comfort level in our comfort zone. That there are many times where we just don't we just want time to process what's going on. And even though your fire is very much needed, there are many times when we just want time to process. Arguing, your point is not going to help matters, especially if you are in tune to other people's energies and you can feel people's energies, to the point where you already get the message that, okay, this is not the time to do this shit right now. This is a time for you to act, like to literally make the choice of the spirit is literally giving you the opportunity. If you're spiritually in tune, Sagittarius, this is a time to listen to that inner voice that tells you that higher self, because that angel is your higher self. The angel that said not just your spirit guides, but this is definitely your higher self. But there are many times that your higher self was intervened in some way, shape, or form because you took things way too far with your opinions. So this is really pretty much the time to make that choice. Whether you are going to just let things happen and let people process things in the way they would like to, regardless of the outcome, or you will continue to bombard people with like information that they may or may not already know. So this is pretty much the time to make that choice. You also have the King of Air. Um, this is literally like a Gemini card, like an air sign. Like air is known for its intelligence, communication. But now that I think about it, I really do feel that Geminis and Sagittarians um, are very much alike, and we can get along as long as we hold up boundaries. This card is basically talking about boundaries. The King of Air is not only very intelligent and very wise, but they know when to give knowledge and when to hold back on it. They know when to use their wisdom and when not to. They know when to communicate and when not to. This card screams boundaries because they're the master of their boundaries. There are many times when you are being called to just not say anything. It is not because of what you say, what you're saying is not important, but there's a time and place for it, Sagittarius. There's a time and place. And when people tell you they don't want to hear it, or when they tell you they are not ready for the information, when they tell you that they are to process things, do they need a moment because emotionally they can't handle what they just seen or heard? Honor them. Honor that. No one is telling you to be quiet or to not say anything. It's just that at that particular time, with that particular person, your input is not needed. It's not needed. And I'm speaking as a Gemini. I'm also speaking as a person who used to, um, who used to just argue all the time. I used to argue all the time. Someone always had to have my point. A good friend of mine is a Sagittarius. We used to argue all the time because we always had to be the dominant one intellectually. And as a result, our friendship blew up. Um, it blew up to the point where we weren't talking to each other for at least a few years, maybe like 2 or 3. There is a time and place for everything. A time and place for everything. And with all, and like I said, with everything that's going on, the last thing people need to hear or to experience is someone saying, I told you this was going to happen, or they continue to argue their points and making situations much worse than they need to be. That's why Sagittarians, those born under the Sagittarius sign, got the King of Air card. There's a time and place for everything to share knowledge, to share your knowledge, to share your opinions and your input. There's a time and place for it, and there are times when you are to know when to just like let things go. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to argue all the time. Um, it's just time to let things just go. That's why during the Taurus season, you feel like, why are people listening to me? I'm getting this energy um, just from the Sagittarius collective because your input is not needed all the time. The moment you know this, you will be more relaxed and you'll be able to temper your fire. You'll be able to temper your fire because this is actually the 9 of fire. When you're able to um, check your boundaries, check other people's boundaries, do the work necessary to ask yourself why you are to, you know, argue on a regular basis and why you are to be right on the regular basis. Why do you have what is it about the ego that is holding you back from your fullest potential to actually use your communication skills to change the world or to change someone's life at large because you're capable, you've done it. Once you start to ask yourself those questions and you start working and doing the work necessary, your fire is tempered. You're more grounded. You're more settled. and you're able to walk away from arguments because there won't be any need to argue with everybody about everything. You will learn how to accept people as they are, regardless of whether you agree with it or not. Jesus, you're literally the fire version of a Gemini. I had to learn the same thing. There are many, many times where I'm like, you know what? This ain't worth the spoons and this ain't worth the pearls. This shit is not worth my juice. I gotta walk away from it. I gotta walk away from it. You will be able to do the same exact thing. This person, it has their hair is glowing. they're fire. They're letting themselves go. They're still being themselves, but they're in a different place now. If you see the leaves, around them, they're grounded in who they are. What I notice is that people who are constantly arguing and constantly like getting into people's faces about, you gotta listen to me. And I'm speaking from personal experience. You're not looking at something. There are people who use arguing and debating as a form of escapism. It keeps them from looking at themselves. It keeps them from looking at their own shadows. It's usually a cover up from something for something that is that needs to be worked on. Something that is much deeper. It is easier to argue. It's easier to get on Facebook or Instagram or any form of social media and debate on something with either with friends or with someone you're not going to see. Is easier to do that than to um, look at what triggered you to begin with. It's easier to argue and post political things or post what you're passionate about online or to have entire debates, tireless debates. It's easier to do that because then you don't have to do the shadow work that's necessary. You don't have to look at your own life. You don't have to examine your own thoughts. It's literally like a drug. It's literally like it's like this feeling of domination when you can outsmart and outwit and out intellectualize someone, whether it would be online or offline, whether it's a family member or some troll, on Facebook or a 4chan. It's easier to do that. To then ask yourself why you're so passionate about that particular topic, to the point of going, to the point of arguing with someone to begin with. It's one thing to to take a stance, argue your points, and walk away. But it's another thing to do this shit for hours on end. It's it's another thing to take that stuff home and debate with someone that you supposedly care about. It's another thing to see yourself as more educated, more dominant over someone you consider yourself caring about, or putting them down, or calling them names or belittling them or dehumanizing them because they don't see things the way you do. Once you do the work necessary to understand why you have allowed it to go that far, Sagittarius, you'll be this person here, very much in tune with all of the elements, very much in tune with all of the self, very much in tune to the point where you do not have to display your debating skills, wherever you go, because you can simply walk away from something you don't even agree with, because not everything is your opinion is not needed in everything, but not everything is worth your energy. Remember that. This is why you got the integrity card. When you start to realize that you're not obligated to argue, you're not obligated to debate, you're not obligated to display your dominance, your intellectual dominance. You can literally be comfortable in your own skin and be around people in peace. I'm talking about this from personal experience. You will be able to be at peace and be comfortable in your own skin because you'll be surrounded by people that you care about anyhow. You'll be able to sit still, not see everything as a debate, and be present in the moment. You'll be able to be present in the moment. You'll be able to be around other people and just be there. You're being told to at least play a board game or be surrounded by, like, I'm seeing like a board game. I'm seeing board games where you're like sitting around a table and just enjoying the company of other people without there being a debate to follow. You're being told to be in the comfort of people that you care about, of other people, and give yourself time to just relax and be part of the moment. It doesn't make any, like, if anything, you're being asked to see the world differently from the perspective of others. You're being told to not be so quick to be right all the time. Not everything is worth your juice. Not everything is worth your energy. This is the time to be surrounded by people that you care about and to do something fun while doing it. But all this debating and all this stuff that you are doing, Sagittarius, is burning you out. It is actually is literally like compromising your friendships with people. It's compromising your friendships. It's compromising your friendships to the point where people don't have the energy for you right now. That's not okay. That's not okay. So this is literally the time for you, Sagittarius, to put dirt. This is what for the Taurus season. I'm just seeing like putting dirt on some of that fire you're putting out into the world. Because right now, because it's not channeled in a way that is beneficial for you or the people around you, it is not working. Is not working. So it's time. It's time. It's time for you to check your ego. It's time for you to do the work, the shadow work, and to do some meditating to do. And meditating doesn't usually, you don't have to sit down and listen to your breath. You can go outside. You can be out in nature. You can, listen to music, listen to guided meditation. This is a time for you to start tapping into spirit and start talking to your spirit guides and asking questions pertaining to your ego, and asking why and what makes you argue so much. Like, what is going on to where you see everyone um, as an intellectual, you see everything as an intellectual debate, and you see almost everyone as an intellectual enemy when they don't agree with you. That's food for thought, and it's food for thought given to you by spirit. So that's all I have for Sagittarius. If this resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please contact me um, via, especially if you want to like a more in-depth reading, you can contact me via email at bowtiepsychic@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me, on Facebook and Instagram. You can actually follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Um, you can also subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, um, and follow the channel. Like, I'm looking very forward to what you have to say. And also, like, I have not Facebook, but a podcast, a weekly podcast where I talk about some of the same stuff. Only I focus more on generational trauma and ancestral work through divination. So, and I also like talk about shadow work as well. So please follow the podcast on anchorfm.com and anchor.fm.com and 9 other platforms, iTunes being one of them, Spotify being another. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So thank you so much again for the opportunity for the serve you. So until next time, peace.